who do you look at around the league as you're studying and say, we're going to have to run through them?
Celtics.
No one in the West.
Nah, I'm fine in the West.
Now, we all remember this viral clip from the 2022-2023 NBA season of Ja Morant saying he was fine in the Western Conference. And I don't think he was crazy to say that. Yes, the Western Conference still had a boatload of really good teams when we talk about the Phoenix Suns, who just acquired Kevin Durant, the #1 seeded Denver Nuggets, the defending champion Golden State Warriors that just beat them in the first round last year, the Dallas Mavericks, who were still trying to make a surge to make the playoffs that season. But Ja Morant said he was fine in the West. And this is what we now know was the start of the downfall for the Memphis Grizzlies. As we all know, the Memphis Grizzlies finished second in the Western Conference with 51 wins to 31 losses. They were one of the best defenses in basketball and had one of the better transition offenses, if not the best transition offense in the entire NBA. And to be completely exact, they finished top 3 in defensive rating that season and was just outside the top 10 in offensive rating, sitting at 11th. And they were one of the best transition offenses in basketball, ranking 3rd in transition frequency per game and 2nd in transition points per game. And I think a lot of that had to do with what Ja Morant's play style was. Ja Morant came into the NBA as the overwhelming rookie of the year back in 2019, and he only got better, winning most improved player, leading the Memphis Grizzlies to the playoffs in his second season, being able to play well in that series, and then taking this Memphis team all the way to a 2nd seed in the Western Conference in back-to-back seasons. But I also think it's fair to say that Ja Morant had a lot of defensively slanted teams around him, with guys like Dillon Brooks, Jaren Jackson, Tyus Jones coming off the bench, Desmond Bane, who could be a really good shooting addition. There was a bunch of things to look forward to for this Memphis Grizzlies team, and it looked like they can only get better from here. The Memphis Grizzlies were one of the most fun teams in basketball to watch on a night-to-night basis because they were young, they were fast, they played defense. Ja Morant was one of the best athletes, or is the best athlete at his position, and they won games. Ja Morant could get to the rim effortlessly and finish over top of the rim with ease. But all of that came crashing down when they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in a 6-game series in the very first round. And we all know what happened that offseason. Ja Morant was caught on camera with a firearm, and he had to miss the first 25 games of the following season, and then plays 9 games and is then hurt for the rest of the season. Now, to start the 2024-2025 NBA season, the Grizzlies were 2nd in the Western Conference with a 36-18 record, with the 5th best offense in basketball with a 117.8 offensive rating. But it seems as though Ja Morant was the one struggling with this Memphis Grizzlies team, as he was only averaging 23 points per game, 7 assists on below league average true shooting. This is not something we usually see from Ja Morant, as in past years he's normally averaged 26 to 27 points, maybe 7 to 8 assists per game, and a higher true shooting percentage. And what made this so interesting was the Memphis Grizzlies were playing their best offense that they've had in their Ja Morant era while not maximizing Ja Morant's talent. We all know Ja Morant is a heavy pick and roll isolation type of player, someone who thrives on getting downhill and playing in transition. While the Memphis Grizzlies were still one of the better or the best transition team in basketball, Ja Morant was not being used in the pick and roll nearly as much. Memphis relied more on a heavy motion style of offense, with Ja having to create advantages for the offense without the pick and roll action. But around post All-Star break, Ja Morant's numbers started to go back up to what we remember them to be. He averaged about 27 points per game on 7 assists on a higher true shooting at just 57%, but it was still under league average. But the difference is the Memphis Grizzlies were 16th in offensive rating post All-Star break, and they went 12-16, which would be 4 games under 500. I think you guys understand where I'm trying to lead to with what I'm saying. I think the Memphis Grizzlies understood that Ja Morant playing at his best does not lead to the best team offense for the Memphis Grizzlies. And I don't want to necessarily put this all on Ja Morant. I do think that he's been in more defensively slanted lineups and teams since he's come into the NBA and has never had the offensive pieces or two-way pieces put around him for him to thrive as an offensive player and for that to directly lead to team impact. And unfortunately, this would go into the postseason. Before Ja Morant went down, the Memphis Grizzlies were up big on the then champion OKC Thunder in Game 3 of that series. Ja Morant unfortunately goes down and misses Game 4, and Memphis ends up getting swept. But I will say, Ja Morant hasn't been looking fantastic to start this season. His latest game against the Los Angeles Lakers, he only had 8 points on 3 for 14 shooting. Against the Phoenix Suns, he had 28 points. Against the Warriors, he had 23. Against the Indiana Pacers, he had 19. And against the Miami Heat, he had 12. And this is what led to the comments that Ja Morant made after the game against the Los Angeles Lakers.
What went wrong to you today?
Go ask the coaching staff.
Do you feel like, there was anything you could do differently, I guess?
You ask them. They had a whole spiel in here, so.
From the outside, and the outside may be wrong, but from the outside, it didn't look like you had your usual energy tonight.
Go ask the coaching staff why.
Okay. You feel like you should play more?
Go ask the coaching staff. Should I play more or not?
What had been done?
Else?
What could have been done different to get a different outcome, other than asking the coaching staff?
According to them, probably don't play me. Honestly, that's what basically the message was after. So.
Due to these comments, it was just announced earlier today that Ja Morant would be suspended for a single game due to recklessness of the team. And I just want to give my thoughts about it because I do understand where Ja Morant is coming from. If you are a very big role to this team and a very pivotal role to this team's success, and the coaching staff is saying they don't want to play you, but I can understand why the coaching staff would not have wanted to play you in the second half of that game. He did not score. He was 0 for 7. He was a very big defensive liability when you have guys like Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic who mismatch hunt the way that they do, getting Ja Morant on the perimeter as much as possible, and his lack of play when he is not on the ball, when he does not have the ball, is very concerning to be the leader of this group. But to look at the coaching staff and the franchise, this is a franchise and a fan base that's been riding behind Ja Morant for his entire career, even when he's put himself in jeopardy to be suspended for a majority period of the season multiple different times. This franchise, this city, this fan base put everything they had on Ja Morant being the guy for Memphis. And from the outside looking in, I do think there is some frustration brewing from the front office and the franchise with Ja Morant, because we have constantly seen the Memphis Grizzlies put out mediocre or average offenses with Ja Morant being their primary initiator, primary creator. And we're starting to wonder, is Ja Morant good enough to lead out a top tier offense, good enough for the Memphis Grizzlies to go deep in the postseason? And this is a team that's in the Western Conference, and the Western Conference isn't getting any easier. The Spurs are young, the Rockets are young, the Oklahoma City Thunder are young, the Lakers and the Nuggets aren't going anywhere. So for Memphis to reach that level with Ja Morant, something's going to have to change. And it's not like we've seen the level of improvement that Ja Morant has been seeing with his peers, whether that's guys that's been drafted after him in like 2020 draft class with guys like Tyrese Halliburton and Anthony Edwards, who's led their teams to finals and conference finals, or Cade Cunningham, who can take that scoring and playmaking. And I don't necessarily want to look at the finishing numbers. Ja Morant is a smaller guard. I can give him a little bit of grace when I look at the finishing around the rim. For me, it's just the outside shooting. Ja Morant, if he were to develop an outside shot, would have worked really well in what the Grizzlies were trying to run last season. And I think the reason they went away from it is because Ja Morant was not reaching the level that we all think he could. Ja Morant is one of the most talented point guards in basketball, and it sucks to see him not lead out elite offenses or just elite level teams that could go deep into the playoffs, because this is somebody that is truly a must watch every game. And it makes me start to wonder, are they going to trade Ja Morant? Now, Memphis is a team that just got 5 first-round picks, including a 2026 Phoenix Suns first-round pick, which is almost guaranteed to be a lottery pick. And if you were to put Ja Morant on the market, maybe you can get a few more first-round picks to really start a rebuild in Memphis, but only time will tell. If you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at ATBSports1. Make sure you guys follow me on TikTok at TheBuzzerENT. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at TheBuzzer_. And with all that being said, I will see you guys next time. Peace.